Hello, North Central Washington, and welcome to Network TV. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, and today we're going to be talking about the technology sector and access to technology education for young people in rural and remote communities. We know that there are a lot of barriers for youth across our region, including a lack of awareness about the ways technology jobs or the way technology is transforming work, a lack of access to skilling and training programs, as well as a lack of access to social capital and professional connections. These barriers can be even more acutely felt by girls and students of color who lack representation. These system inequities result in critical shortages of tech talent and a lack of diversity in the workforce. As a powerful example, consider that Hispanic women comprise 28% of the current workforce in North Central Washington, yet only 3% of the tech sector workforce. To be representative of the region, we need to see 10 times as many girls exposed to potential careers in technology, and more young people have access to resources and skilling programs that lead to promising careers in technology. At NCW Tech Alliance, we are committed to expanding access to digital and technology skills for all youth in our region. We lead this work through our role as the co-director of the Apple STEM Network, which is a cross-sector partnership that includes K-12 schools, community colleges, local businesses, and community-based organizations. There's so much to unpack in this topic, but today I'm really delighted that I get to interview two leaders in education from the Quincy School District on how they're integrating career-connected learning opportunities and IT programming into their district for youth. I get a really great opportunity to sit down with Nicole Monroe, Ross Kondo, as well as a local student from Quincy High School. It's going to be a great episode. We'll see you back here in a minute. And welcome to Network TV. I'm very excited to introduce my first set of guests today, Ross Kondo, Nicole Monroe from Quincy School District.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I'm really excited to have you on air. A little sneak peek for the audience, we actually have students watching them. So the teachers are in the hot seat right now. We're very passionate about career-connected learning, so we wanted this to be the full experience. So Nicole, I'd like to start with you. I'd love to share a little bit of each of your backgrounds in education. Why don't you kick us off?
I am the CTE director for Quincy School District. I've been a director for about 20 years. I was a business and marketing teacher for a long time before that. This is my 39th year in education. And this is one of my 20 about teachers we have in career and technical education at Quincy. And he is phenomenal. And he's the reason that we're here today. So,
well, 39 years in education is quite an accomplishment. Thank you for all that you do for our students. Just learned off air, my husband was one of your students back in the day. So thank you for that. You just framed it up, CTE, Career and Technical Education. So Ross, I'll turn it over to you to kind of introduce your role at Quincy.
Yeah. So I started off as a business and marketing teacher, and that was 17 years ago, and we were starting to roll out more tech classes, and the teacher who was kind of teaching those left. And so I was approached and said, would you like to do this? And said yes, and I've been learning tech ever since. And so amazing career. Obviously, our valley is very supportive of technology. And so we've been with the TEALS program, helped teach computer science. And so we start off with an intro to computer science class. And then from there, our kids just ate it up and loved it. And we're so passionate about it, then we added an AP class after that. And then after that, they were like, all right, what's next? So then now we have a technology project management. So that was kind of our computer science entry. And then after that, with all the data centers, we were approached about creating a data center technician program. And so now, of course, our kids are super excited. And so they've had a great pathway for our students.
So you keep building up the layers. Right. We won't have time to go into this episode, but it's really hard to find people who've experienced in technology and computer science and education, obviously, because they often just go straight into the private sector. So we really need educators like you who are willing to say, I'll learn as I go, I'll get continuing education, I'll tap into resources. Tell us why that, I'd love to dive in a little bit. Why was that so important for you to take that on instead of just staying in business administration?
Yeah, I mean, just one for our students, but we really take pride in trying to get our kids connected with careers that they're going to be successful in. So we need to stay on the cutting edge and offer those students opportunities. We are very rural, so again, felt a big draw to provide those students other experiences that students might have in larger cities. So we want them to be competitive. We want them to be successful. It's kind of where it all grew from.
So important for our students.
Correct.
And that leads me to career-connected learning. Nicole, maybe you can help frame up, what does that mean when we say career-connected learning in terms of, a high school education system?
Career-connected learning is doing all that we can to make sure that our students their eyes are open, they're aware about what's happening, not only in their own community, but what's happening in all industries around the nation. That is the cutting edge and what's happening out there. We're told all the time that what we're teaching our kids now might not even be where they end up in their career, because those occupations aren't even out there. But it's about exploring and sharing with them and making sure that they know, both in the classroom and outside the classroom.
Let's talk a little bit about those foundational skills that you're teaching, including like soft skills and problem solving.
Yes.
Yeah, why is that so important when you think about maybe the framing of a computer science or IT class to say, we're going to talk about soft skills?
Yes. Well, yeah, definitely. Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you've ever had that technician or somebody who they were speaking a different language, right? So important. But yeah, definitely the tech sector, we definitely need that tech support, but tech is everywhere now, right? And so for our students to be able to communicate and provide that information and really learn, it's a partnership, right? I mean, there's the tech people who are building it and servicing it, but we need that knowledge from the other industries to be able to work together. So those problem solving skills, are probably the most important and the thing we're most proud of. Like, they can solve tech, but then that relates into their life, life decisions, career path. And so
you need that in every framing.
The teamwork,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's spill into the Data Center Prep Academy. Tell us a little bit about this latest pathway in partnership with Big Bend Community College. I'll tap either one of you to start it off.
I'll start and I'll let Ross jump in. But I would just like to thank Sue Kane and you. I mean, with the ESD and North Central Washington Tech Alliance and Tom Willingham at Big Bend Community College. Computing for all, and the gals that are there, this wouldn't even have happened. But we were approached by Sue to say, you have Ross and he's awesome, and we have this wonderful computer science department. Can we switch over and do some more IT? And Tom Willingham, we've been working with a lot through the computer science pathway at Big Bend, and he started this marvelous program with the data centers. And he wanted to know if we can move it down lower to the high schools. And so we've jumped in now for 2 years, and Ross is taking it full force. Yeah.
What are the goals of the Data Center Prep program for the students participating in them?
Yeah, so for our students, it's to have that first entry-level class into the Data Center Technician program at Big Bend. However, with that, at the end of our class, they will sit and take the CompTIA certification, which is the industry certification that they're looking for. And so with the growth in data centers, it's even becoming more important now. That is kind of the one item they're really looking for those entry-level positions. So.
And there's a huge demand for jobs out in Quincy in the data centers and has really impacted the community. Nicole, what does that look like over the last 10 years with the development of Savvy and Microsoft?
There are so many data centers that we have in our area, and that support is amazing. I mean, you can see it in our whole school district with all the tax base has risen with the city.
A beautiful new high school.
The beautiful new high school and everything. And then Ross, just yesterday I walked into his class, and the speakers that have developed from this partnership with Savvy in particular and some others, it's just incredible that the speakers from all over the nation that Ross can now get for his classes.
Pull in the top talent in the world.
Right
into
from all
Quincy.
industries. So like you said before, it's that partnership and that career connected learning, that career connection and support from the industry has been amazing. But then our students are much more versed and understand kind of what it looks like before, instead of learning from a book. So.
And then this certification they receive, that's something that they can take in their toolbox anywhere. To really, even outside of just the data centers. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you're hoping that might transfer into Big Bend's community college programs, and maybe just your career-connected learning programs in general.
Yeah, so right now our classes are aligned. Our first class, we have an Intro to Hardware and Operating Systems class. So that's aligned with their first classes that they teach the first year. So our kids already have those credits. It's local for our students, easy for them to transfer into that. But then also kind of the next step after that is just one more class and then an internship. So our kids are getting that good head start, have one more class, and then they get to get their hands dirty, and actually get to work with a data center.
Some real life, real world experience. And data centers are pretty high security facilities.
Very.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Very, yes.
It's not a place that you can just show up to and ask for a tour or to get into. So that's got to be a really special relationship that you have built to allow youth inside of these.
Inside too,
right,
as well.
into these important spots. Well, Ross, we're going to stay on air with a student here in a minute, but Nicole, I'd like to maybe end with you. For our viewers watching today, what advice would you give them if they want to get involved in support programs that are happening at Quincy or maybe at a school district near them?
Wow, there's many ways that they can get involved. The one that comes to mind is the advisory board. So every single CTE program area has a community advisory board of industry partners, post-secondary partners, and community members. And those partners make decisions that affect curriculum, equipment that's needed, what's the latest and greatest is what's happening in industry, and get it implemented into the high school level. So that's a really important piece. We need to have those partnerships there. But we also need partners to come in and be guest speakers. We need people that will allow them into their industry and bring students with them to do this career-connected learning piece. We need mentors for young teachers that are also learning themselves so that they can learn outside of class. There's so many things that they could do. Monetary, of course, contributions or equipment that is no longer needed. There's so many ways that they can contribute.
Well, that's a great note to end on. So if you're an industry professional watching, get involved at your local school district, maybe in an advisory capacity and a speaking role. But you're not going to want to go too far because we've got part 2 coming up in just a minute. And welcome back to Network TV for part 2 of our segment today. Ross Kondo, educator at Quincy High School. We've just been talking about career-connected learning, some of the programs you're developing with Big Bend Community College. But you brought the star of the show, Trenten, Calloway. Welcome to Network TV.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up, raised in Quincy. I went to a few private schools in Ephrata, but I joined the public school system in 8th grade, and I've been a Jack since. I also have been swimming. I started swimming when I was young, so swimming with the club, Velocity Swimming here in Wenatchee, and then eventually when I got to high school, I started swimming and representing the Quincy Jacks at high school meets. So
you're representing well with branding as well,
really
so
good.
very well done. Tell me a little bit about the IT classes you've been taking at Quincy.
Yeah, so a majority of them are mostly on the computer, learning coding and software and stuff like that. So we started my freshman year. I took a digital tools class, which is kind of the required intro class to getting into these tech classes, and then moved on to intro to computer science, where I learned to code Python, and then moved up to AP computer science, where I learned Java. And then this year, I'm currently taking the IT project management class, which is dedicated to teamwork and learning these, soft skills like you talked about earlier, and working on these projects and stuff. So with our skills that we learned.
Incredible. So Trenten, you're kind of an example of what you were talking about earlier, Ross, of that building up every year that you've been expanding the curriculum as the students have been coming up through the program.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Trenten just to kind of explain, he kind of took all of our computer science classes, right, is what we've had going. And the cool thing is, he's kind of built his skills. And this year in the technology project management class, he was able to take his interests, kind of we talked about, right? Technology's everywhere, and he built a cool swimming website where he can compare his swimming times. And so just a great marriage of people's interest in their tech skills. So that's kind of,
I love that.
And that whole career connected, hopefully that will launch them into a path that, they can work in someday.
A great career. Tell me a little bit more about that project.
Yeah, so I at the start where my teacher said, he was like, let's try to make a project that is you're interested in. I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at swimming, so I thought I'd go into that. So it's basically this website I made using HTML and stuff that where usually when you want to look up some analytics and statistics on your swim, you got to go to 4 different websites. You want to go see where you're placed, you got to go to one website. You want to see your time conversions, you got to go to the other. So I basically just built this website where it puts it all into one, and you're able to just type your time in and tells you all these things that you need to know about your race.
Very cool. I'm also seeing, a future for some entrepreneurship there when we talk about.
That's, I was hoping it was going to put him through college. I'm like, all right, you can turn this in. Yeah.
Like,
and so, yep.
Yeah,
Start
very
doing business
valuable.
and, yeah.
What do you enjoy about IT and computer science?
Well, I think the big thing for me is how rewarding it is. It's actually very challenging, I think, personally. And when getting to type something out and it actually works is a very rewarding feeling. And it's just a lot of fun. I like the teamwork, especially getting to work with my friends, making these projects. And it's just the best part about it for me.
And I'm going to turn to Ross here when you said when it works. There's a lot of learning and failure in a good way in technology.
Great way, yeah. So that problem solving skills, right? Being able to troubleshoot, that computational thinking is huge. But yeah, for kids, like usually they're not working alone, right? And so that interaction with others, hey, can you troubleshoot my code? Yeah, it's great for students to be able to grow in just great thinking skills in all aspects of life.
Why do you think letting youth fail in safe spaces like in a school is important for their lifelong learning? Yeah,
lifelong learning, confidence, kind of just develop that grit, right?
Okay.
There's an argument, right, among are games good for our kids? Video games, right? They just die, they get a respawn. But really, like in the tech field, that is good. They can problem solve and keep trying again. And so it's it builds their backbone, I think.
Yeah, I love that. The
grit,
the respond.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Trenten. What are your plans taking all this from Quincy High School? You've gotten a great education through Mr. Kondo here and the educators. What are your plans after school?
Yeah, so I junior year, especially when you get that question a lot, what you're going to do after high school, I had to figure that out. And I thought, well, I'm taking these computer science classes. I'm pretty good at it. So I thought, it's a good base to go into. And that's what the mindset I had going into it. But definitely the senior year, I'm a lot more confident and really excited to go and get higher education in computer science. So I'm planning on attending Chapman University here this summer or the next year and majoring in computer science. And I'm still planning on swimming.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that pathway forward. Any idea yet of how you might apply that into your career after school? Are you keeping options open, or have you kind of thought about once I graduate with that 4-year, what you might be interested in?
I'm definitely keeping options open for now. I just want to see where I go with it. Want to make sure that it's something that I want to do, for the rest of my life, and just take as many opportunities as possible, internships, higher education, and all of that. Just see where it takes me.
Fantastic. I'd love to hear your advice, Trenten, for maybe a student who's watching or for a parent who is a student in, say, middle school, is not involved in technology at all. What advice would you give them about exploring it?
I think computer science can be very daunting at first. When you look at it, it's just a bunch of numbers, code going across the screen, and you look at it, you're like, what? But especially with good teaching, it's a lot better understandable, and it's really easy, and you find out it's a lot of fun. And it's honestly just a really great career to go into. So I say, might as well try it, see if you like it. And if you do like it, then it's totally worth going into it.
That's fantastic advice. Yes. I'm going to bring you on air more often in the next couple months before you graduate. Russ, tell me a little bit maybe about your advice for, same question, for parents, especially those maybe in elementary or middle school who are going to start looking towards what high school looks like.
Yeah, so the cool thing now is that it's exploded how many tutorials are online. YouTube, of course, teaches a lot, but there's so many youth websites that they can go learn. So I would say one, it is kind of daunting, so start off slow with them, but connect it to something they're interested in. There's a lot of Minecraft, there's a lot of young girls kind of coding projects coming out. So there is a good variety out there. So connect them with something they already enjoy, and then go slow and let them kind of feel it out. But then, just keep encouraging once they find their path.
I love that you bring up games as kind of a positive way to get involvement and connecting with passions. I also love that you just touched on young women and girls in computer science. So maybe you'll chat about that a little bit. Have you been seeing a shift in trying to get more young women involved?
I think we're starting to turn. We were lucky enough to add middle school coding at Quincy Middle School. So now we're starting to recruit more. We're starting to host with the Ignite Worldwide. They have a club where they bring in these female guest panelists, and so that was a super great hit for our high school students. And even through COVID, they did remote. So just the advice that they could learn, but then the access, like there was like Pixar, all these large corporations, like our rural girls get to hear from them. So it's starting to sway, I believe.
Who doesn't want to learn about a great movie company and development? There's so many opportunities in computer science for young men and women. Very important.
Correct. Yeah.
We're winding down here. So Ross, I'm going to turn it back to you for a minute. How can the audience get more involved directly here in Quincy and supporting your programs and students?
So in Quincy, for our community, at the minimum, we like to host either a fall or spring hour of code event. And so they can bring their kids down. Awesome students like this will come and help teach their students. So parents don't need to know anything. So they can just come and get exposure, or like we said, volunteering with advisory boards to help give advice if they're in the tech field, or even in any industry, right? Tech is blending everywhere. We've had some great field trips this year, going out to farms to see the technology in tractors, packing plants. So, maybe just that invitation or being willing to be a guest speaker and share your knowledge with the students would be appreciated.
That's awesome. Yeah, because it's not just in the data centers or inside of Microsoft, right? It's in ag tech and healthcare and every manufacturing, every industry. And Trenten, I love that you said earlier how it can be kind of intimidating when you see that code. It's intimidating for adults who kind of come in and want to learn, but they can do it.
They can do it, yep.
And they can do YouTube as well. Well, thank you both for coming on air. Congratulations on your success.
Thank
Would
you so
love to
much.
have you back here. Follow that growth. And thank you for joining us on Network TV. We'll see you again next week.